Hey guys. Okay, so today I am answering a question I got in my Instagram DMs that I've been wanting to answer for the longest. This question I got a while ago, February to be exact, and for some reason I came across it and I'm like, oh, I never made a video about this. And I think it's a really important question to answer because I get a lot of questions in either my comment section or my DMs on my email regarding overshoot weight and going through recovery going through weight gain with the recovery process. And let's be honest and let's be for real. It is the hardest part. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It sucks. It is the hardest part to get through. And it's the reason why so many people relapse is because they cannot bear the idea and the sight of them gaining weight. And unfortunately, it's the most necessary step of recovery. Pardon the mic, y'all. So I'm going to read this question and then I'm going to give you guys like some tips and suggestions that help me. Really quickly though, I am not a medical professional. I am just a girl, random girl on YouTube who recovered from a almost 10-year eating disorder and was able to find recovery and has been recovered for years. I've lost track how many years, but I have been recovered for a very long time. And two, the importance of you guys understanding that you got to do what works best for you. What works for me may have not worked for another recovery guru that you find or someone else that you know that recovered or whatever. Everybody has their own journey. It goes through their own process. So please just listen to yourself and trust yourself. That is so important, is to trust yourself and know that what I did may not work for you, and that's fine. And what other people do to recover may not work for you. You got to find what works best for you. So I'm going to read the question. It's a pretty long question, but it is important. So the question is, hi lady, I saw your interview with Elisa and wanted to reach out. Elisa is she has a YouTube channel called Follow the Intuition. Great content. She's MIA for a while because she just had a baby, or I think she's been having a baby, but she's focusing on being a mom basically. But she did have me on her channel. So if y'all want to go check it out, I'll link it below. But she continues, and of course I'm keeping the user anonymous, by the way. I worked with Elisa 3 years ago. I went through the recovery process and then I relapsed. I'm doing it again and it is so hard. The weight gain, the hunger, it feels like a lot. I know you talked about changing your core beliefs and I'm stuck in how to do that. I think those beliefs tripped me up last time. I'm so upset each day about how I look, and yet I still have extreme hunger, and I'm working with coaches and therapists, but wondering if you had any suggestions. I'm specifically, and she continues to say, I'm specifically struggling with being in a large body that's currently an overshoot. I don't recognize myself. I'm struggling to show up in the world in my body. I don't know if you've experienced these feelings, but I remember from your interview that you would say to yourself, I am recovered. That helps with the food, but I'm struggling with the body image. How do I keep showing up and not just crying, complaining about it? Or how did you do that? So first off, to the user, cry and complain about it. You have to allow yourself to filter out these feelings and emotions. So I have a list of like things that I did to help with cope with the weight gain and all of that. But basically, when I was recovering, I think what delayed my recovery a lot was there. I was following a lot of gurus that were saying don't focus on the weight, or focus on body positivity to appreciate your body, this, that, the other. And they may have worked for other recovery gurus or other coaches that I may have worked with, I'm sorry, but it didn't work for me. It just made me more frustrated, and I was like, look, I just want to be thin. I just want to lose weight. That's essentially all I want to do. And I'm going through the weight gain process. It's easier said than done. Some people can recover without focusing on the weight, and that's great for them. But unfortunately, I was not one of those people. So everything that you're going through, and I even responded to her, but everything that she is going through is so 100% real and common, and you are not alone in feeling this way. So yeah, cry and complain about it. You have to allow yourself to grieve during this process almost, and to allow yourself to filter out these feelings, because it is hard going through weight gain. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say like, oh, it's your fault, but you're feeling this way, or, make it fluffy. No, it is hard. We've focused our entire energy on, harming ourselves by trying to lose weight and looking a certain way. So yeah, what the feelings that you're going through are 1000% real, and I have been there, done that, plus some. So with that being said, the short answer is that there is no magic answer. you have to go through this process. I searched for years and years to try to avoid the weight gain, try to avoid focusing on the weight and the weight gain, and it got me nowhere, and it led me more frustration and more. I mean, I became so angry and pissed off because I told myself, how can other recovery coaches and gurus just say, take the focus off? I took the focus off and I was able to recover. It wasn't, if it was only that easy, but it's not. Your body is gaining weight. And then again, I'm not a medical professional, but your body is gaining weight because it needs to gain weight. Your body doesn't hate you. Your body is on your side. And that's some of the, I can talk about, just actually, sorry, I got a little sidetracked, but there is no, there is no magic answer. There is nothing. I searched for years, y'all. There is nothing that I can say, or the technique or tip I can tell you where I'm going to say, oh, just do this and it'll take the focus off your weight and you'll be fine. And then everything will be great. And then you'll be losing weight before you know it. I searched for years. It's not out there. And if there is, and if you found that, please share it in the comments. And I would love to invite you to to make a video with me so we can share that. But for the most part, guys, what delayed my recovery for so long was trying to avoid the weight gain or trying to force myself to take the focus off the weight. But it's just, it's hard. It's by habit, it takes a while to unlearn habits, but so there is no magic answer. I wish there was something I could say or do to tell you like, oh, I did this and it took the focus off the weight. No, you have to, I don't want to say embrace it, but you have to allow your body as much as possible to go through the weight gain process. And it's hard, it's painful, it's almost grieving, especially when people you haven't seen in a while, probably like me, they've made comments and this, that, the other about my weight gain. It's hard and it's going to be a struggle. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but it is a rites of passage for the other side and it will pass. Time flies by, guys. You have to go through this and you have to stick it out. You cannot quit. More on this later. But basically, number one tip, I guess, is there is no magic answer. This does take time. This phase does take time, and you have to allow yourself to recover for as long as your body needs to recover. It could be 2 months. It could be 2 years. For me, I think I fully recovered, like mentally, maybe after like 3 months. There was like some relapse here and there, but then like a full I would say probably like after 6 months, my body stabilized and stayed at a normal weight. I was still kind of overweight, but it stayed at a consistent weight. And then my acne healed and then everything was fine. So with that being said, as I was saying, you have to process these feelings out. This is not easy. It sounds simple. It's not. You have to allow yourself to heal and allow these feelings and these emotions, this resistance to filter out so they don't have as much power over you. Something that helped me, and I'll talk about affirmation in a second, was when I would feel these emotions, I'll feel triggered to to undereat or I would hate my body or I'm having one of those days, I would just breathe, and you can learn breathing techniques. So I would just breathe and almost tell myself like, old self, like whenever those thoughts are coming up, old self. And it's hard. Some days are going to be easier than others. You'll be doing really bad and then all of a sudden you're doing good and then you're doing great for a while and then all of a sudden they come back. Don't worry. It's part of the process. It's normal. And spoiler, the thoughts about your body, negative thoughts about your body never ever really truly go away because we are women and women by default are, or humans really, we're insecure and that's okay. I get really self-conscious about my weight and my body around that time of the month for me. It's normal. It's part of being a woman. It's okay. But you have to allow yourself to process these feelings out, and it's going to take time, and there will be some really bad days, but there's also going to be some really great days, and I'm telling you, it will be it'll pay off at the end. But please, for the love of God, please just allow yourself to feel those feelings and treat yourself like a child. This is when you need to really treat yourself like a child and be so like a mother, like a very strong, protective mother, and you're going to be beating yourself up for having these thoughts, but if you just tell yourself like, it's okay, you're recovering, it's totally okay. Like a child, I have videos where I say, pretend like you're the mother of a child learning to walk for the first time. It's going to stand up and then fall down, and then stand up, take a step, and then fall down. You're not going to yell at the child because they're learning how to walk. You're relearning everything. You're disidentifying with your old self. So yeah. Another thing that really helped me as well was affirmations and visualization. For me, more affirmations are more beneficial, and I made a lot more progress with affirmations and visualization. I have a whole video I'm making about visualization and how they effed up my hormones, but affirmations, I am a huge believer in affirmations, and I remember telling myself an affirmation that was my North Star to keep me on track for the for the vision that I wanted was, I have recovered. And I would say it in past tense. There is no right way to do affirmations. I'm going to make another video about that. But affirmations can be in past, present, future, and can be in first person, it can be in third person. Another fun thing to do, and this is where I say, like, do what works for you and what's going to be fun for you, is, I would pretend like I was being interviewed about my recovery and I was on a podcast or something. I would pretend like I was, it's just, you got to have fun with it. You got to put yourself, you got to tell yourself, I have recovered, I am recovered, I will be recovered, I can recover, or, food, my weight issues with weight and food are a thing of the past. I know there's another rule. Don't bring like the negative, what you don't want in your affirmation. No, like, do what works for you. If it makes you feel good and if it inspires you and it keeps you moving, keep it moving. For me, that was, I have recovered in the past tense, as well as when the negative thoughts would come up, I would just tell myself, old self, it's okay, old self. So just get your North Star, whether it be a vision statement, whether it be, affirmations, whatever you got to do, keep the eyes on the prize. Repeat your North Star as much as you can to keep your eyes on the prize. Another thing I would say is you got to learn, hang on, what do I have here? Appreciation for boys. Oh, sorry, that was a typo. So another thing that I did during this process to not be so hard on my body was I would consistently tell my body, or think to myself, my body's not out here to get me. My body doesn't want me to suffer. My body's not against me. My body is the smartest organism on the planet. And my body is on my side. My body is not gaining weight because it hates me. My body is gaining weight because it needs to gain weight because I am recovering. So when you start to shift your perspective to your body's POV, I guess, when you start thinking, my body isn't out here to get me. My body, I'm blessed to have this body because my body gets me through the day. My body always wants to be healthy. It's always fighting for survival. Because when you think about it, our bodies do so much for us. So, remembering like your appreciation for your body in that way, and I guess scientifically, all the things that it does for you helps tremendously with healing your relationship with your body and making the process somewhat a little smoother. So this helped me as well. And I would encourage you guys to also shift your perspective from your body's POV. Another big important thing, and why I think my recovery took so long was because it was in the forefront of my goals in life. And though it was, the main thing to remember is recovery should be happening in the background. So this is when I asked myself, well, how do I see myself living my life? Because at the time I was going to therapy for recovery. I was reading books and books and books about intuitive eating. It was so much, y'all. When I went to therapy, I had, started therapy and I pulled out all these like 20 books from my bag, and I showed my therapist how hard I've been working at recovery. And I remember her looking at me and she was like, this is a lot of books. She's like, lady, do you think focusing so much on getting recovery perfect is helping you or hindering you? And I'm like, wait a second. And then I thought to myself, if I was recovered, I would not be reading books and books and books about intuitive eating. I would be going out to dance. I would be hanging out with my friends. I would be going to brunch. I would be eating and not thinking about it for the rest of my life or the rest of the day. And then, living my life. I would be traveling. I would be going to Disney World. So that was when I was like, okay, It's time to make recovery happen in the background and focus on living my life, on the life that I wanted after recovery. And you have to do that as much as possible. I always say recovery should be happening in the background. It should not be like your main focus of watching videos. Because think about it. If you were recovered, would you be spending hours and hours and hours watching recovery videos? Would you be spending hours and hours reading books and doing research on how to recover from binge eating and how to do this, that, the other? Like, it's good to learn these things and learn like the basics and spend some time doing it, but then you got to put that theory to practice and just trust the process and let it go. And you know what works best for you, what you need to do that. So if it helps to, write down a list of things you want to try and do, and believe me, especially when it came to like dancing, I was so insecure about my body and like dressing up and all the things, but you have to do it anyway. Because recovery will be happening in the background the more that you live your life. So the more that you live your life, the more recovery happens in the background and the more you take the focus off the weight by default. So don't go crazy, but replace one habit that is preventing you from recovering or focusing on your weight with a habit that incorporates your future self as well. So yeah, and also really quickly, and also I will say allowing recovery to happen in the background is what I think led to my ultimate recovery. But for the most part, I will say the thoughts about, there's this idea that once you recover, you're never going to think about your weight and your body, but that's just not the case. It won't be as much as it was before. And I know I get really self-conscious about my body and how I look maybe like around that time of the month or sometimes when I like leave the gym. But so I don't want you to think that life after recovery is you're never going to have thoughts about your body. Maybe there are people who do and I envy them, but for the most part, I mean, we are women. It's kind of part of our nature. But just know that they won't ever go away. You'll just know it's not worth it. It's one of those like floating thoughts that like comes and goes and you kind of deal with it and then it just like goes away, if that makes sense. At least it does for me. The most important tip I can tell you though is do not freaking quit. Do not quit. Keep going. Be consistent. I wanted to quit and give up, and I did quit and give up so many times. And I'm so happy that I just kept going and finding my way back to my North Star no matter what. So do not quit. Keep going. Keep moving forward. It will pass. It will subside. Everything is temporary. Just focus on that vision, focus on that North Star, focus on living your life as much as possible. There is no shortcut to this process, but it will pass. And one day you will look back and you're going to be so grateful to God and Jesus and everybody above that you were able to get through this process. So I know it's not the answer that you guys want to hear, but it is ultimately what I did and how I look at it this way when it comes to my body. Sorry, I know I don't have the best mic in the world, so I do apologize. But it will be worth it, guys. I promise you, you're not alone in going through this process and the whole like overshoot weight and being so obsessive about this transition. It is a huge transition and it is big and it sucks, but you are not alone, but you will get through it. So for the love of God, do not give up. Just keep going, be surrounded by the people that you love, by the things that you love, doing things that you love. And one day you're going to look back and like I did, and I didn't realize how recovered I was. So yeah, I hope this helps. If you guys have more questions, I love getting questions from you guys about recovery, affirmations, whatever. So please let me know in the comments below what you guys want to hear, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.